The radiation levels were low enough to survive, but the city was a total wasteland. All the buildings were in crumbles, remnants of a world that once thrived. The air was thick with dust, and the silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional rustle of debris shifting in the wind. In the coming days and months, they scavenged, found supplies and materials. They also found other survivors. As their numbers grew, so did the need for food and water. Over time, they have created a small community, with each survivor bringing in their knowledge and skills. Soon they had become from destitute to a self-sustaining community that thrived. But not all survivors were friendly. Many rival groups that were driven by hunger and fear posed a constant threat. These threats from the scavengers become ever so often as they grow desperate. It was time to leave and build a new home in a safer place. After all, the community was way too valuable to risk in a war, even though they had the means to defeat and repel any threats from anyone. But they wouldn't risk losing any of their own. They were the last hope for the survival of the human race, who were not driven by greed or selfishness. They have destroyed everything and left in search for a new home. After over a month's journey, they had found the perfect place, an isolated island. They have called it the New Heaven. It was a tough journey, and they had many attacks on the way to safety. They have repelled all, but they were beaten by an unpredictable storm. The nuclear blast had dramatically changed the ecosystem. One of the changes was the sudden and unannounced storms that knocked everything in its path. One evening, one of these storms hit the group, and some of the survivors got separated. Ava was amongst the lost. Eventually, they had taken shelter in a ruined building for the night. They were scared and hungry, and were left to fend for themselves in the eerie silence. They knew they had to wait for the daylight to find the others. They wouldn't be able to move until morning, as the storms didn't just bring rain and strong winds, but also unleashed chaos. At least they knew where the others were headed. It was a long and dangerous road, but eventually they have made it to the New Heaven.